Welcome back everyone to the 2016 America's Winter Championship. We're about to get into the final game of the best of 5 series between Puffin and Zenstyle, with the winner advancing to the grand finals and a chance at not only the largest share of that $100,000 prize pool, but also a ticket to the year-end World Championships at BlizzCon. Now, with so much on the line, these players are highly motivated to win here, and one thing to keep in mind is that nerves could definitely play a role. Puffin, as you may know, is coming off a win at the Innkeeper's Showdown tournament, and it's looking like it wasn't a fluke judging by his strong performance here thus far. Meanwhile, Zenstyle hasn't really had a high finish since around early 2015, but he's been determined to get back to the top, grinding on the ladder and in open tournaments to get to this point. Looks like we're finally going to be getting into the game, between these two players. Going to be the Oil Rogue from Puffin against the Tempo Mage from Zenstyle. Now keep in mind, both of these players know the majority of the contents of their opponent's decks, having seen their opponents play in previous rounds. So not going to be anything crazy like Puffin, using his mulligan to mulligan against Freeze Mage, for instance, as we do take a look at those mulligans. And Puffin keeping the preparation and throwing away his other two cards definitely makes sense here for the preparation to be kept, because even though it has to be combined with another card, that card is likely to be drawn, and you definitely need the tempo that you gain from that preparation to combat this Tempo Mage, who obviously, that's in their name, that's what they're known for, so obviously need to get the tempo away from them to be able to win overall. And on the side of Zenstyle, keeps the Mana Worm as well as the Arcane Blast and the Arcane Missiles, as we see a Happy Feast of Wintervale come out from Puffin, a bit of a cheeky emote there. But for Zenstyle, keeps the Arcane Blast, which can't really be utilized to that great effect against any of the rogue minions, but does decide to keep it anyway, maybe looking for a very aggressive start here so that he can set the tempo for the future. Does pick up a Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is what he wanted to see. Could have gone with the Mana Worm as well. Looks like he's hovering over the coin right now, which would be a mistake if he played the Mana Worm out, because he could have gotten the extra buff on that second Mana Worm as well if he went for that first. It could have also been a bluff though, maybe bluffing something like an Unstable Portal, and maybe Puffin reads into that. But for now, Puffin going with a very aggressive play, going with the Preparation, Inter-Viscerate, and the SI7 Agent, clearing both of these very dangerous minions from the Tempo Mage. Makes a lot of sense to not save it for the Tinker Sharpshooter Oil, because with a Tempo Mage, you're not as likely to flood the board as you are with something like a Mech Mage. Back to Zenstyle here, going to be playing out that Mana Worm as well as the Arcane Blast and the Arcane Missiles. Has an over 80% chance here to take out the SI7 Agent. Let's see if he can do so. Yes, on the very first hit he gets it done and establishes his own 3/3 Mana Worm. Pretty dangerous here if you're looking at it from Puffin's perspective. Now Puffin can clear this Mana Worm utilizing either that Eviscerate or his Hero Power, the Eviscerate with his Hero Power or the Tinker Sharpsword Oil. I imagine he goes for the Tinker Sharpsword Oil because it's a bit of a clunky card at this moment. He's already used one preparation. Obviously, if you use the Tinkers now, you can't use it as a combo to buff another minion later on, but I think that's a price you're willing to pay, considering that you really want to be establishing your own minions, in particular getting that Azure Drake onto the board next turn. And with this, you are actually able to establish something like Blade Flurry for future turns. Potentially. So I think good overall play here by Puffin, very forward thinking by him. Side of Zenstyle, he does pick up Mirror Image, which is not what he wants to see at all. Actually plays it right away here onto the board and doesn't save it for anything like Flamewaker or Archmage Antonidas. Perhaps he wants to save or wants to protect the whatever comes out of the mirror entity here that he just played. Sludge Welcher is the play from Puffin, which means that it is taunted, so he can't actually access that minion with his face or any of the minions that he plays on the board. And definitely makes sense here for Puffin to just bite the bullet and get out his minion, because if you wait too long, you just fall behind on tempo. Zenstyle picks up Archmage Antonidas, which is very good for him, makes his hand that much more dense, and is able to combo that with the coin in future turns. For the time being, he's just using the Fireball to get rid of the Sludge Belcher on the side of Puffin. And now Puffin has a bit of a card advantage to see how he utilizes it. Could go for the Blade Flurry to clear the board, but nope, goes for the Azure Drake. Definitely makes sense. Doesn't want to throw away that Blade Flurry for just essentially one minion that can actually attack. Actually going to attack with his Blade right now into this Sludge Belcher. It makes sense because Zenstyle could actually use that Sludge Belcher as well as a ping to get rid of the Azure Drake, and Azure Drake obviously is very useful for the rogue. a stable portal into Kel'Thuzad for Zenstyle and immediately pings the face. Interesting decision here. He could have actually coined into the Kel'Thuzad. A bit hasty in my opinion, perhaps a bit of nerves coming out from him. Maybe he's worried about a sap coming out and he can't play it next turn if he utilizes the coin right now. Maybe he's really wanting to use that coin with Archmage Antonidas. He is running low on cards. That could be consideration for him. Going back to Puffin here. Could use Blade Flurry again, but probably not likely against this tiny board from Zenstyle. Going to be playing out the Lothip, his only minion in hand. As an added bonus, this Lothip does shut something like Ronin or, you know, something like Ragnaros. Obviously shuts off the possibility for Archmage Antonidas utilizing that coin as well. So good situation here for Puffin, though the hand of Zenstyle is pretty stacked with these 3 minions here. Looks like he's going to go for a Zhurdrek for more options rather than going for that Kel'Thuzad. Perhaps still afraid of that sap. And he's going to just play out that Zhurdrek, obviously, and ping the Zhurdrek of Puffin. Now back to Puffin. Sprint is a pretty good pickup here. Needed to refill his hand, if not get a big minion in the situation. Could go for the Blade Flurry and clear the board and put a lot of pressure on his opponent, but it's not too mana efficient right now. The sprint is also pretty tempting because you can use that Deadly Poison to clear your opponent's board. And when you can clear your opponent's board and refill your hand, that's a pretty good situation to be in. Looks like he is going to go for that sprint. And let's see what he picks up here. Gets a Dr. Boom, another Blade Flurry, a backstab, and yet another backstab. So with one of those backstabs, he can actually clear his opponent's board without, you know, sacrificing any of his minions here or using those minions to take any damage. Looks like that's not going to be the case. Going to be using his face to kill out the mirror image instead and use his own Zhurdrek on the opponent's Zhurdrek. Still in a pretty good position is Puffin, has a pretty big hand as well as that Lothip, you know, uncontested on the board. Let's see how Zenstyle comes back in this situation. Goes for the Arcane Intellect first. Can go for the Flamewaker into the coin counterspell, but he's been saving that coin for a long time for the Archmage Antonidas, so unlikely to be the play here from Zenstyle. Instead, goes for the Kel'Thuzad. Is going to risk the sap here. We do know that's been in the hand the entire time. Puffin could actually go for the kill, I believe. Yeah, he could go for the kill, but would maybe take too much effort here. Sap seems like a good play, especially because Kel'Thuzad doesn't really have an immediate impact unless you have a board already on the field. So going to be the Violet Teacher coming out from Puffin. Not surprisingly, the Dr. Boom. Perhaps he wants to bait out some removal onto the Violet Teacher first before he goes ahead and commits to that. But yeah, the Kel'Thuzad is a very dead card in Zenstyle's hand right now. Instead, going to be going for the Archmage Antonidas into the coin counter spell, and he's been waiting a long time to get this out. Gets paid off with those 2 fireballs, but we see in Puffin's hand he has a few ways to deal with this. Obviously, he has to be aware of what, you know, secrets could be out there. Could be duplicate, could be effigy, could also be the second mirror entity or the counter spell. He has a way to deal with all of them. Let's see what his sequence is here. Obviously, the worst I believe would be the effigy. Who'd have to start using his own minions in that case. Otherwise, he can maybe use the spells in hand to deal with Archmage Antonidas right here. Has a good way to check for the mirror entity in that Bloodmage Sound, so pretty good pickup right there. And gonna use the backstab, realizing it's going to be counterspell, and pretty painful here for Zenstyle, getting his counterspell countered by the 0 mana backstab in this instance. And the second backstab, excuse me, coming out here, dealing 3 damage to that Archmage Antonidas. Going to be putting him down to 4 health, which is exactly enough for this Blade Flurry enhanced by spell damage to take it out here. That is going to be the move by Puffin, and now Zenstyle in a bit of trouble here. His opponent's board is completely full. Probably not what he was thinking when he was saving that Archmage Antonidas the entire game for this moment. But going to be actually the Eviscerate as well committed here by Puffin. An extra 5 damage to the face of Zenstyle. And actually Zenstyle is out of this tournament unless he can pick up something right here. Let's see what the card is. It's going to be Mirror Image. That could potentially keep him alive. Immediately going for the Flamewaker is Zenstyle. Going for the Fireball next. Good sequencing. Doesn't want any pings to go off on the Lothip. Next going to be the Mirror Image. Actually pings off 2 1/1s already, which is nice for him. Let's see if he can get any more. Mirror Image coming out. Picks off 1 more. Going to use his hero power for the last ping there. Threaten coming out from Zenstyle, realizing that this could be the end for him. Let's look at the hand of Puffin. Doesn't pick up lethal here. Only gets that preparation in hand. But when you don't have lethal, one of the best cards to play out is Dr. Boom. And he is indeed green, indeed playable. And Puffin's going to put that on the field. Put the maximum pressure out on against Zenstyle here. And looks like he's reaching for that prep as well, which means he's going to be going for the prep Blade Flurry so that he can re-dagger here. Actually, this is a very heads-up play because this allows him to clear the mirror image without using the Violet Teacher. So he can actually hit 3 damage to the face or clear out this Flamewaker. Let's see what he does decide to go for here. In any case, Zenstyle is in a lot of trouble and needs to have some sort of answer to this. Picks up Ethereal Conjurer. Maybe he can stave off lethal with the Frost Nova or something of that ilk. Does not get it. it, picks up maybe a Kona Cold to free some of the minions, but I don't believe that's going to be enough. Good positioning by Puffin, getting that Violet Teacher away from the Dr. Boom. Kona Cold hitting the Dr. Boom here, and both Boombots hitting the face. More threats coming out from Zensal. He is not happy about this situation. Keep in mind though, these players are pretty good friends, so probably not too much malicious intent. Puffin with the BM right back, going with that NT kill, but saying I had the healing the entire time, so don't you worry about it. And that is going to be it with those last attacks. Puffin is going to apply the lethal damage. He is going to take the game and the series, and he's going to be your first finalist here at the America's Winter Championship. Congratulations to him, definitely. As for Zensal, this is going to be a very bitter defeat for him after all the work he put in to get to this point. Unfortunately, his dreams getting cut short at the last moment. But again, yes, congratulations to Puffin, who will be looking for a second championship in a row, as well as a spot at the World Championships with a win in the finals. And he absolutely deserves it with his play in this game right from the beginning, right from the mulligan, realizing the importance of taking tempo away from the tempo mage, going with a very aggressive play on turn 3, taking the board away from his opponent, and later in the game, not panicking, not going for the Blade Flurry or the sap on lesser minions, instead opting to establish his own minions to set himself up for future turns, and it definitely worked out in the end for him. In Zensal's case, there were a few questionable decisions throughout the game, also a few quick turns, perhaps a bit nervous at this point. Very sad to see after such immaculate play up to this point in the tournament. His journey, unfortunately, though, does end here. But lastly, one last time, congratulations to Puffin, our first finalist here at the America's Winter Championship. And I believe we have an interview with our winner, so let's throw it over to Rachel.